their map, because when the GSL doesn't like a map, they're not afraid to get rid of it. I doubt we'll see it, especially with the Terrans that we have coming up, both in these series. I think we had a Terran in all the rest of our series today. Wouldn't be surprised to not see Beckett Industry Stall here in day one. But we're on Romanticide with SKillous and Braddock for our first game.
That we are. And spawning down in the bottom right position of Roma, it is the StarCom player, Braddock.
And up in the top left-hand side, in the red from Cascade Gaming, he is our Pro Toss player representing Russia. It is SKillous. Nice little Ruski showdown here.
Yeah, no kidding. And there is a very, very healthy Russian scene. Very, very skilled, talented players. Now, I don't know if you remember, but back last year, I think the first time, it might have literally been the first day that we worked together, or it was something like that. It was definitely on a DreamHack Masters cast. And we were introducing the players, and it was not Braddock, but I believe it was Koss. And the team was StarCom. And, well, I did not say StarCom, and I was so embarrassed, and you just glossed right out of it like an absolute pro, and I was just, like, there with my hand, absolutely face-palming so hard, and, yeah.
It's tough, man. You know, I feel like it's tough to develop identities around these players, especially because I think, Steadfast, have you done any offline events?
Not in quite a while, actually. I've done a few offline events, but we're talking like 3 or 4 years ago, and nothing ever with a ton of pomp and circumstance. Like, I haven't been like to like a DreamHack Montreal, or, well, I've been to a DreamHack Montreal. I haven't casted on the main stage of a DreamHack Montreal. It's been, you know, like local tournaments.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting that it's so hard to develop an identity around someone when you don't put like their face next to whatever they're doing. I think something about my brain makes it very difficult to remember everything about a player. So when I look at Braddock, I just remember like Russian player, StarCom Gaming, Terran player, and like maybe a few notes about his play, but I can't conjure up a picture of his face in my head because I've never shaken the guy's hand. I've never seen him at an offline event before. And I think that makes it really tough to remember. So there's no shame in like seeing these guys as lines on a spreadsheet and occasionally transposing a few cells. Happens to the best of us, especially those Russian players who are always either on Cascade, StarCom, or B100. Like, those are your options.
Yeah, and it makes it worse that for the longest time at the beginning of Heart of the Swarm, or beginning of Wings of Liberty, by the way, we have this Adept poking on forward. Enough Marines to shoo this away. Just going to be a little scout, making sure there's no Hellion production. Just yeah, it's a barracks here, not a factory. But yeah, no, something that I used to run into all the time was the Team Empire was Happy, Braddock, Koss, and I think there was like 2 or 3 other Terran players that between all of them just dominated Europe for the first year of Wings of Liberty.
Oh yeah. Always tough, man. Always tough, especially with the players changing teams and stuff. I don't blame you one bit. Now, we got Blink Stalkers and a Robo out for SKillous now, which is really nice. You know, nice little Blink Stalker play, sort of what you expect in a TVP, as you said. We talked a bit about this in the break, and look at Braddock. He's going for a Raven here with 2 bases down. No third base from Braddock, Steadfast. Are you surprised at all to see that Braddock stayed on 2 bases?
No, not particularly. Probably going to be that 3-1-1. One thing I will say that is not necessarily surprising, but very noteworthy, is that this is 4-gate Blink Stalker. So this is going to be a very aggressive version of this build that Parting is most well known for popularizing a lot. And it is a really, really powerful build. On a map like Romanticide, it's a great decision to go for. Look at all the room that there is to blink around and just have fun and, you know, really mess with your opponent. That being said, Braddock does have a nice spotting supply depot. And he is going for at least 2 tanks, which is good for him. But if we do see a fast third command center, which actually is looking like we probably will, can be a little bit difficult to deal with Blink Stalkers here.
Yeah, there's that third command center down for Braddock, and here it is, Warp Prism reinforcing with these with these reinforcing stalkers here, and this is going to be a big push. This is enough stalkers to one-shot a tank for sure, but that observer cannot go down. He's got to save that observer first and foremost. Can't use the warp prism to get up onto the high ground. It's just way too dangerous to move far forward. But with 2 tanks sieged up, this is going to be a very difficult proposition from SKillous.
Yeah, he is going to go for it, but it's a little bit bold, and the Viking gets that, wow, this went horribly for SKillous. The Viking takes out the Observer and the Warp Prism, and shoves the Warp Prism back, I should say. Raven tries to get sniped, but it's not going to go down. Another Stalker goes down. 7 Stalkers and an Observer for 2 tanks. Not worthwhile in the slightest.
You caught me right in the middle of a yawn. Sorry. But yeah, no, not yawning because the game's boring. Yawning maybe because SKillous is just so rough with that engagement. As you said, throwing away, I think it was 7 Stalkers overall. And the Observer. Sure, he got the tanks for it, and that will give him some play here later in the series, or later in the attack. But with the Cloak Banshee on the way, another tank out for Braddock right now, and the Raven with the Viking combination. This just looks like a hold from Braddock, man. He's not going to lose much at all.
Yeah, I think the you made a good point there. Opening up the base a little bit with this is nice, and the fact that we have Cloak Banshees is so weird. Like, that is a very non-standard play. SKillous scouted at. No, he is not. He hasn't seen the tech lab, and he hasn't seen that it's been researching. So he actually may not have any idea at all. Oh, Banshee gonna come back home? He can use that for the defense since there is no observer, and a big blink forward gonna take out this bunker. This is actually kind of problematic now for Braddock.
Yeah, we need to see this Cloak Banshee getting in and actually doing some damage. It looks like he was waiting for the second Banshee to go across. So what he's hoping to do now is hold it home and then go back across the map and do some economic damage. The problem is that the Warplings are getting over, like, a little bit more numerous than they were before. And the Blink Stalker count is high enough that they can blink on top of the tanks as well. So there we go, an aggressive blink forward. 1 tank unsieged, second siege tank gonna get taken down on the ramp, get some good damage off. SCV's pulled off the line steadfast. But look at how confident Braddock is in the hold, already dropping 2 mules, saying, nah, I'll be fine.
Well, I think he's just trying to get his economy, keeping it alive, because, yeah, he is... those mules will go down. He is broken, actually, at the natural expansion. Tank going to get blinked on once again. He will take a lot of losses to do this. And on the other side of the map, we are starting to see some probes going down to these Banshees. So if Braddock can hold, he will actually be in an amazing position. And that may have been a big overcommitment right here from SKillous. Both players really taking huge damage right here. And those 2 mules being dropped at the natural is a little bit of a problem. God, this is such a sloppy little slugfest right now.
Reminds me a lot of what we saw in the last series when both players were like, oh, you're going to be super aggressive? Okay, I know the counter to hyper-aggression. More hyper-aggression. Like, that's absolutely crazy. 31 SCVs have gone down. Stalkers just shelling away in the main base, but of course these Banshees have not really been responding to on the other side, but there it is. SKillous finally gets under him. They forget to cloak up, and there's an observer. And Braddock knows he's taken too much damage. His Banshees are down, and SKillous grabs game number 1.
Man, that got really out of hand for both players very quickly. I initially thought, like, oh man, he lost 8 Stalkers for 2 tanks. That's not worthwhile, but it was,
No.
well, it opened up the base so much, and the size of Romanticide is really what allowed SKillous to find additional damage. Now, it can be so weird in these scenarios sometimes. Like, yeah, that was just a straight up missed call by me. It can be so weird in these games because it looked so good. Like, the War Prism got so low on HP. That really caused just a lot of lost momentum in that fight. But SKillous was like, it's fine. I'll just warp in more Stalkers. And it was like, oh, yeah, I guess so. And the tank's not really all that replaceable. Braddock hemmed and hawed as to whether to keep the Banshees defensive or go aggressive with them.
Yeah.
And it just ended up being too much. Now, if he committed right across the map with the Banshees initially, maybe he gets that damage early enough that the number of Stalkers SKillous could warp in isn't enough. Maybe things go a little bit differently. But I can't blame him for kind of hemming and hawing. It's really tough to make the right call in that scenario.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Very difficult to make the right call, and I don't think Braddock did. Yeah, maybe forcing in some more Stalkers, warping it on the other side would have changed things. But I think what we saw there from SKillous was really just sticking. He went very Leroy Jenkins. He stuck to the plan, chums. He did what he needed to do. And I'm rewatching it back on the 3-minute delay here, and it looks like he just did a really nice job of keeping Braddock back home, got his 3rd base up, so got his economy rolling behind this, and was able just to outproduce his opponent. Really interesting match, though. That's one of those matches where I don't feel like I've done it justice commentating it in the thick of things. I'd love to go back and watch the replay and see what else we missed.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. But well, we're going to be getting into game number 2 here. Of course, I'm talking about myself. That I feel like I missed a fair bit. Spawning up in the top right, representing Starcom, it is the blue Terran player, Braddock.
And in the bottom left-hand side, his countryman, representing Cascade Gaming in Russia, it is SKillous, our red Protoss player.
Yeah, just to go back and even talk about that game a little bit more, I'm very curious as to whether or not SKillous saw the third command center, because if he did, before he made that link onto the 2 tanks, I actually really don't like the decision. But if he did see that, then I actually like it a lot, because it's one of those things where he knows he would trade inefficiently, but open up a lot of opportunities for himself. But I'm pretty sure he hadn't seen that third command center. Once again, I'd have to recheck the replay, because he might have seen it like with the observer. Yeah, I'm not sure, but there's a lot of nuance there that that could be analyzed quite a lot.
Not to like toot my own horn, but it's a reminder of how complex casting a game can be sometimes, and you sort of got to figure out what both players know and when they know it, and then figure out who's ahead from there. Just bananas. Wild stuff. Well, this next game, looking a little more standard, looking standard, I guess, again at the beginning here. Braddock checking everywhere for a proxy. He's, of course, not going to find one, as SKillous has built everything back home. Not even a pylon out on the map right now for SKillous.
I think this is going to be a proxy factory, actually, into proxy starport Hellion drop.
Oh, you're right. He checked up at the top side, and then proxy factory or proxy starport?
I think proxy factory.
I think both. You're right. That SCV out way too early. There's the barracks finished up, and steadfast Widow Mines.
I think it'll be 3 Hellions and a medevac. So the big advantage this has over going just for the one proxied starport is if an adept gets across the map, it will see a barracks, and that's it. It'll look like a totally normal build, because of course you can't get into the main base. And the beauty of this is, because you don't get the reactor, you can do this all off. Well, technically you can do the other one off 1 gas too, but you can do this all off of 1 gas, because the Hellions don't cost gas. It's just the factory, the starport, and the medevac which is enough gas mining off of 1 gas to get that all up and rolling. So we'll have to see, but that's my inkling. That's my gut.
Yeah, I think so. There it is. Hellion number 1 starting up now, and there is the starport behind it. Oh, I love this play. It's so spicy, and most importantly, it's so scary. This build reminds me a lot of a Glaive Adept build, where the Glaive Adept build is scary. Right when it hits, you're like, oh, geez. And then if you control it well, it's like a 4-minute slugfest where you just got to be like on top of your defense the whole time. The Hellion drop is scary at the beginning, and then it's scary for another 60 seconds afterwards, as long as those Hellions are in your main base, and it's so difficult if you don't spot it. And as far as I can tell, SKillous has no idea this is coming at him.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't seem that way. Turn down the volume once again. And, well, yeah, the really brutal thing about this is he doesn't even have a pylon checking the main base, so he's got no idea. Like, look at all this dark spot in his main. There is so much opportunity for this drop to come in.
This is not great at all here. Factory's going home, and you're absolutely correct. 3 Hellions coming in. Not even any stalkers on the south side. No stalkers rotating around. In fact, SKillous drops a 3rd base, has his stalkers across the map, and this Hellion drop going to catch him completely by surprise, Steadfast.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to see no shield battery. That means no chance of keeping these probes alive, and 6 of them already going down. Make it 8, make it 9, make it 10. Oh, he actually loads up very early on there. Does keep the Hellions at max HP pretty much, but takes a fair bit of damage on the medevac. Now, that already puts him ahead. He is already up 2 workers. And, of course, he's got mules. But SKillous, because he's got that 3rd base, he can theoretically replenish pretty quickly once that finishes up.
We'll see if he can. The 3rd base going to get scouted by these Hellions? No, he's going to go straight into the natural. Luckily, there are 3 stalkers here, but the Hellions, as you said, had full health, so they can eat a couple shots from the stalkers, and that means if he target fires correctly, the Hellions can get some good damage. But look at that. A hold position probe from SKillous, trying to slow down the Hellions a little bit. Nice positioning there overall from our Protoss player. Does lose 5 more probes. That's a total loss this game of 15 probes for only 3 Hellions, but Steadfast, I'm still not sure if that's enough. Usually I say it's a 2-to-1 ratio. If you trade 2-to-1, that's usually okay. Even though that's like a 5-to-1 ratio, it still doesn't feel quite good to me.
I think it's enough. I think it's going to be one of those things where it is definitely Braddock ahead right now, and we'll see in that income advantage it's going to really start to spike up there. Of course, having your factory and starport not at home is unfortunate, and he is going to have to deal with this counter aggression. But as long as he can do so reasonably effectively, he should be okay. But this could be really bad if he loses one of these add-ons. Oh, and he is going to go after the... Oh, he finds the medevac that's on retreat. Wow, this is actually a really, really great initial blink right here. Damn.
Yeah.
No units going down. Takes down 2 Marauders and a medevac.
Really nicely done there. Uses the blink defensively, gets back out of the main base, and does get a bit of damage done. So trading out a medevac and 2 Marauders for absolutely nothing. Now, the bad news, of course, is he didn't snipe combat shields. He didn't snipe the stim upgrade, but he's going to be able to continue putting pressure on here, forcing Braddock to re-rotate around, keeping Braddock at home while he gets his 3rd base up and saturated, still triple producing those probes, chronoing out when he can, and adding on a War Prism, adding on charge, and most importantly, Steadfast, adding on not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5, but 6 more gateways.
Yeah, and well, I kind of talked about it a little bit during the break. He is so well tuned against these 2 base all-ins, and this is not just going to be your run-of-the-mill 3 racks. This is in fact going to be Braddock going for a 4th and 5th barracks. He is going for broke, and he is going to absolutely look to hammer this one home for a W.
Yeah, wow. War Prism actually sees the medevac coming in. We'll see if SKillous rotates around. There it is, the recall going back down to his main base. He saw that medevac coming in, got some of the stalkers back home and should be able to drive that medevac away. Blinks underneath it. He might be able to get the snipe there. Nicely done. That's a big win for SKillous.
That is a massive win right there. Really slowing down the momentum that Braddock... I mean, the Blink Stalker play was nice, but that's a really, really big deal. Wow, no add-ons even going to be used on these barracks. That is very interesting.
Yeah, not just the momentum, by the way, but also the fact that he's not able to dual prong harass anymore. SKillous can get his entire army in one place and does not have to defend against a secondary drop sort of in his main, juggling between those 2 armies. As the Templar Archives comes down and we see Archon's going to become part of the mix here for SKillous, I like his position more and more in this Warp Prism. Just doing fantastic work. The SCV drop, so annoying. Or pardon me, the Zealot drop into the SCVs, so annoying.
Yeah, he picks off 5 SCVs, drags the army back home. And, I mean, this was already a pretty value play just in terms of resources lost. And now he gets the... Oh, if he loses the War Prism, though, wow! A little bit of a mistake right there from SKillous. And by little bit, I mean pretty massive one, to be honest. He could have gotten out of there a little bit earlier, but overstays is welcome. And now... you spoke of Braddock being able to focus in one place at once. Now it's, SKillous being able to focus in one place at once. Now it's Braddock doing so. Great force field, though, on this ramp. Going to pick off, I think, 2 Marauders and 3 Marines for basically nothing. That's
really nice.
Really, really big.
Braddock
one Zealot.
Just a bit, trying to get straight across the map. Not what he wanted there at all. We're going to see the 2 armies rotating around now. SKillous to the north, Braddock to the south, but SKillous does have some units back home to deal with this. His storm is about 3/4 of the way done. He won't have it for this first fight, but he's got so many shield batteries, and if he can defend, if he can force Braddock back home, he's got a great chance at winning this game. He just needs to defend back home now. Ooh, he's going to base trade against a Terran player, and actually, I kind of like it. SKillous just can recall as soon as he gets this natural down. Let's see how his defense goes at the 6 o'clock.
He is going to have Storm up and running, and there is a War Prism right here with 4 High Templar in it, but there is also a very, very big Artosis pylon. This is going to be a lot of units going down right here, but SKillous, he needs to get back into his own main base. Recall comes down, click the Nexus. Oh, he could have actually denied that recall.
Yeah, he could have storms. Giant storms in the high ground, though. Very nicely done, forcing Braddock's army out. This is a scrappy game from both players. Another good storm there, driving down Braddock's army just a little bit. Braddock overstimmed just a touch, and here the Zealots coming into the main base. Another storm onto the medevacs, and we'll see if those medevacs can go down. No, 4 of the medevacs going to escape, but that counts as a hold. And Steadfast. You know, Braddock did some damage there. How many Nexuses did he kill?
0, but he killed a damn fine number of probes. Now, I'm actually really sad that he didn't just click down the natural nexus. I think if he did, I think the game's over. Because there's no recall. Then SKillous has to try and bulldog his way up the main ramp with a ton of SCVs ready to repair the barracks. Oh, a little bit of stutter. Ton of SCVs ready to repair the barracks, and no splash damage like that storm to force its way up. And then it's basically just charge lots and a few zealots trying to force their way back up into a main base.
Yeah, a little awkward engagement here again from Braddock down at the 6 o'clock base. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. Storm is, of course, available. He doesn't have any ghosts in this composition. In fact, he doesn't have a Ghost Academy at all. So even though he's ahead +1/+1 to no upgrades for skills right now, his army comp is not as good as you might otherwise think. A beautiful Storm on the backside, sort of negating the damage that early Widowmine shot did. And we can see, of course, that drop in the main continuing to do additional SCV damage. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. The carnage continues in Braddock's main base.
That it does, and that one storm did actually do a lot of damage to the zealots as well. But there's some two big storms. However, the entire army of Skillous is going to get evaporated, and now it's Braddock cleaning up this Archon. Just the Warpin coming in here, and if this gets cleaned up, that's almost all of Skillous's army right here. Oh, but he's got a lot of money in the bank, and he will warp in a ton of zealots.
Really interesting choice here from Skillous, not to defend in the main, to give away his army in the middle of the map to sort of pick down Braddock's army as much as he can while maintaining pressure on the other side. Skillous knows he's got a significant income advantage now as he's 3 bases against 2 and he's killed off so many SCVs. So if he continue to pick off reinforcements and stop Braddock from reaching critical mass, he's going to be in really, really good shape. Braddock drops to the other side, and Steadfast, this game is getting uglier and uglier the longer it goes.
Yeah, almost in many ways, a stylistic similarity to what happened in game number 1. We're going to see Braddock going after these gateways once again. One of them, I think, does get depowered, and now he can depower the other 4 with this additional pylon. This is so nutty right now. Very few units on either side, but that means Blink is very valuable for Skillous, so I really like him warping in those Stalkers there. But that also means the upgrades for Braddock are incredibly valuable as well. Oh, just load up into the medevacs and boost away.
Interesting choice there from Skillous. Did you see that he recalled all of his Stalkers but left his Warp Prism alive in the main base? God, can't quite get it either. Goodness gracious. Nexus still alive there at the natural, and this game so ugly. The big problem though right now for Braddock is that worker count. 23 workers out for Skillous, but again, 2 bases to 3. The main base all but mined out now as Braddock desperate to get some more minerals. He lost his main command center as well. Oh, geez.
Oh, he did. Oh, I did not even notice that during all of the carnage. And that's really bad. And you pointed it out before, and I'll renew that point again. Not killing any Nexi means that Skillous can continue to build probes in this game. Oh, this War Prism will go down. That is a pretty big mistake from Skillous, and that's going to allow Braddock to push forward. But there's a lot of High Templar here. They don't have energy for storms yet, and that's going to be Braddock trying to jump on this. Oh, he should have feed back those medevacs, and he won't. That's a big missed opportunity. And now I think Braddock may be able to do it. Yeah, he's up 30 army supply. I think he's done it, actually.
Unbelievable. What a huge mistake from Skillous trying to warp those Templar into Archons. He really should have just gotten them into Archons sooner. Should have seen that army in the middle of the map. In fact, he did see that army in the middle of the map with his Observer and did not transfer in time. I think he was hoping that maybe Storm Energy would build up over time. I still think he can hold here. He's got Shield Battery Overcharge. If he can get Braddock into a bad fight against the Shield Battery Overcharge, as we're seeing now, I think that might be kind of good for Skillous. The Overcharge is going to end up finishing up. Probes pull off the line, but again, the worker count fairly even, but Braddock has done enough economic damage now. He may have just enough here, Steadfast. This is so ugly.
Yeah, the 1-1 upgrades ending up being just, what he needed. And there it is. GG is called. And that is another series going to game 3. I think we've only had, one series that didn't? Stefano versus Hero Marine?
Just the Hero Marine Stefano series. This game 3 has been promises to be really exciting. I don't think I would have guessed that Braddock would have taken a game off of Skillous, and that game just filthy on all sides. Really quickly, Steadfast, let's take a short break before our 3rd series of the day. We got to make sure that we say thank you to all the people who make ESL possible. Guys, Steadfast and I are going to go to a 3-minute break, and as soon as we come back, we'll have game 3 on Oxide LE with our 2 Russian players, Braddock and Skillous. Stick around.
And we are back once again. And you might hear that in the background. Oh, what is that? That is the countdown timer as we get into Game 3. What I honestly thought was going to be a little bit more one-sided of a matchup ends up going to Game 3. And this is a pretty important match, I think, for SKillous. Braddock, I mean, realistically, he is going to have a very difficult time making it out of this group. SKillous, though, very much within his grasp. And if he loses an early series to Braddock, that is really going to hurt his chances.
This is one of those things we're going to remember on day 7, on day 8 of the day 7, I guess, is the last day of the group stages. It's something we're going to look back and say, if SKillous drops this, we'll say, he shouldn't have lost that series to Braddock. That was a bit of a mistake. Very winnable for him. And if you lose the easily winnable series, it's just not going to work out very well for you come day 7 when you're trying to fight for those every last scrap of match and map score. But let's hop into game number 3, Steadfast, and see who's going to come out on top here in our ace match.
Absolutely. Spawning down in the bottom left, representing Cascade, it is SKillous.
And his opponent up in the top right-hand side, the Russian player from StarCraft Gaming. He is Braddock, the old man currently standing on his lawn, yelling at a cloud. I don't know, whatever old people do. I don't know.
I think you nailed it there. But yeah, no, they love. Honestly, the clouds are kind of aggressive. They get in the way of the sun. They're doing all kinds of, they're so heavy. They store all that rain. Ugh, what do clouds do that's good? No, just kidding. They block the sun, which is really important.
for people whose skin tone is like mine, clouds are very, very useful in I guess they don't prevent the UV rays, but they certainly make it easier for me to see and stuff. Ugh. I don't know if I've ever told you that story, Chicken Man. I went to my optometrist once, and I was feeling very bold. You know, at the end of every doctor's appointment, and your doctor's like, do you have any questions for me? Normally, I'm just like, oh, no, I feel awkward being here. I'm just going to get out of your way. I was feeling bold that day, and my optometrist said, great, any questions for me before I go? And I said, yeah, when I go outside, it hurts. Like, my eyes hurt all the time. Like, it's always too bright no matter what. Summer, winter, fall, spring, rainy, cloudy, sunshine. I'm always just like, life seems too bright. And she looked me dead in the eyes and said, yeah, Creighton, look at your skin and eyes. You have no melanin. Obviously, things are going to be too bright for you. Your eyes have zero natural sun protection. I've never been told by a doctor that I'm too white to function before, but that was the first time where she was like, yeah, just gonna have to live with that.
Pretty much. That's basically what she was telling you.
It was terrible. And then I read that apparently your eyes only get lighter as you get older. So really? I feel like by the time I'm 50, I'm gonna be like every character in some medieval fantasy thing who's like a soothsayer that just has pure white eyes. And it's like, come closer, child. I have seen your future. Like, that's going to be me. No question.
A wizened old crone.
That's right. That's me. Cats and everything.
That sounds it's funny because as soon as you said that, I thought of so many characters, but the one that stuck out the most was Morgan Freeman in the Lego movie.
Nice.
Because he plays I think it's a wizard. But either way, we have a little interesting little build to start things off here. It was reactor first, and SKillous took advantage of that with some very annoying little probe harass. He actually forced like 3 SCVs to get pulled and cycled out. So that was just a nice little, as Pig would call it, very, very rude probe. We'll just say that. Captain Rude Man.
I was going to say, I think if you look at your contract from ESL, I'm not sure how many Pig quotes you're allowed to make that won't get you fired. But yeah, Pig was on earlier today. Did you see that? He was cast in the Taiwan-Hong Kong region and Oceania.
I did. That was awesome.
Yeah. It's so good to see that we've got so many awesome casters covering the DreamHack. Of course, there's the main stream going on today. I think they've got, who is it? It's Wardy hosting with DeMuslim and Roddy up on the main stream. And then, of course, the main stream for Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Oceania was Maynard, Zeph, and Pig. So a lot of talent here at this DreamHack.
No kidding. Australia has its own little cool ecosystem that exists not just with the players but also with the casters.
Yeah.
And they have some really great chemistry over there. It's awesome to see.
Did you check out where SKillous has put his third pylon? Very top corner of his base. He's like, I'm not getting Hellion dropped again this game. Even sending his observer up to check and make sure there's no proxy Hellions there. That build was so dangerous when he got to it earlier. Third base gonna get spotted here by Braddock. I think he saw it going down there with his Marine. Spotted? Yeah, just spotted the third base. So Braddock, good knowledge this game. And again, look at these Banshees coming out. So many Banshees from so many players in these last couple matches, Steadfast.
Yeah, we've been seeing Special's been doing a lot in TVP. This is now the second game of the series where Braddock's going for it, but no cloak though. So just a single Banshee, which is honestly a little bit weird to me, but you know, it can still get value. If a shield battery pops out, it's pretty much completely useless. But if you can find a location where it's not, and maybe, you know, your opponent gets overly aggressive, maybe you can find some value there. Okay. Oh, okay. Never mind. I think this is a Dolan build.
Oh my god, I think you're right. This is ridiculous. I haven't seen this build in a long time. Is SKillous going to be prepped for all of this aggression, Steadfast?
I don't know. He is going for very quick Colossus, and he already has one out, but there is a Raven out, and there is not a whole lot of gateways. Now, SKillous is building 4 more gateways, and he's cut any... Well, no, he hasn't cut any additional tech. Yeah, he's gone for this. Oh, wow. Little fight in the middle of the map. The nice move from SKillous, picking off a lot of Marines, but he does get that Colossus switched on off, and that's going to allow Braddock to take a very forward location. 10 Marines actually went down. Holy crap.
Yeah, that was a really nice trade from SKillous, actually. As you said, it allowed Braddock to get into position here, but he did sacrifice his only interference matrix on that Raven. It will have another one ready here in a little bit, but by that time, the second Colossus should be out. And with 2 Colossus, I think SKillous can bum rush this push, but this is a really hard contain from Braddock. And here we see the engagement finally getting started.
Yes, we do. Battery overcharge does get popped. We do have that second interference matrix, as you talked about, but that battery overcharge is going to help so much. Charge does complete, and this is going to be SKillous completely cleaning this up. That army just evaporated, and you called it correctly. Once that second Colossus popped out, easy pickings taking that off, and oh man, we should see SKillous blink forward. Oh, the Raven. Okay, it gets away, but that was so much lost for Braddock.
Do me a favor.
And the door's open.
Do me a favor, Steadfast, and punch the 2 button just so you can see just how awful that fight was in the army supply craft. Really painful for Braddock there, fighting into 2 Colossus and an overcharged shield battery. And this is just curtains here for StarCom Gaming's Braddock.